I'm Christian Abbott.
I'm Nathan Lavender.
I'm Sean Abbott, and this is the Red Mist Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Red Mist Podcast, Season 2, Episode 41. The 41 NASCAR of Grand Prix. I'm not going to say Haas, I'm going to say the Wonder Bread car, because that was the best paint scheme all year, I think, in the NASCAR Cup Series. So there you have it. Ryan Preece, so not yet a winner in the Cup Series, but he is a NASCAR modified ace in New England. So he's definitely not short of talent. So anyway, we have a special guest this evening, Robert Torres, known for being in F4. I did have the pleasure of meeting him in the Touring Kart Championship in their season finale at, I almost said GoPro GP, Trackhouse Motorplex. So we'll get to talk with Robert for a little bit. And then also we'll discuss NASCAR at Homestead. Unfortunately, not the season finale, but should be. Should be in my book. And then we'll just talk about Formula One in the United States Grand Prix. Lots to cover there for sure. And I'd like to begin with the episode with Robert Torres. So, Robert, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. And I got to tell you, it's, the racing world is such a small world, but I'll tell you, I got to meet you at a Trackhouse Motorplex, and we got to enjoy some intense, great go-kart racing, which Touring Kart Championship has provided. But I also, I'm also curious, what got you into racing?
Yeah, so I guess it really goes back to when I was a kid. I was in Cub Scouts, and we used to build the Pinewood Derby cars and those kinds of things. And after that, I got into making that decision of, do I want to work on them and build them, or do I want to race them? And so wound up going kart racing just locally, and won a couple races, and then turned into winning a few championships down the line after about 6 years of doing it. And then after that, at what was Speed Raceway in Horsham is now K1 in Horsham. They had a Formula 4 car there one day. And so, I was checking that out, and they had the program, and I was reading more about it and what it would take to get into the sport and make that jump from karts to cars. So I would say, up until then, that's really how it happened, and that's how I made that jump.
Very nice. Very nice. And so was the majority of your background mostly go-karting? Because I'll tell you, was it go-karting where it's you got the few wins and the championships? When was it, I guess, where you got to a point where, okay, I can make the jump to cars?
Yeah, it's probably, I'm trying to think, probably after my second championship. It was junior, local track championships, indoor karting in 2012. But that's when I really zeroed in on, racing and that feeling of, this is what I want to do, for the foreseeable future, maybe my whole life. I didn't know yet at that point, but definitely that's where it started. Right.
Yeah, because for me, I got to tell you, go-karting is just, it's the greatest equalizer. You get to see, the talent that's really on track and the authentic talent, really, because it's evened out mostly, right? But
yeah.
So I've always been curious to see when drivers kind of feel that, okay, I can do this, I can maybe make the jump now, right? And so what was the first race car that you got into?
So the first full-size race car, it was after 2015. It was in July 2016, and that was with, I believe it's the Formula Racing Academy now. They changed the name, but before that it was the Bertil Roos Racing School. And they're based in Pocono, but they do like schools, and they have a school series, but they do it all over the Northeast and I believe up and down the East Coast. But got my first taste of that at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It was basically a school version of what an F2000 car would be. I was fastest in the group, and the CEO at the time, Dennis Macchio, took note of that, and lined up things for the next steps after that.
Very nice. And so, given that you got the track time, was it dry the whole time? Was it there rain? Was it?
Yeah, that was nice that I wasn't thrown into the deep end with that. It was nice the whole weekend.
Phenomenal. Okay, so you've been to Pocono and I guess their road course configuration. So now you've been to many different tracks. Given I guess the experience in F4, what would you say is your favorite track that you've been on?
I would definitely have to say that my favorite is most likely New Jersey Motorsports Park, the Thunderbolt course. That's where I got my first win. That's where I did my first ever series race later that year. Or actually, no, that was the following year, 2017, with the Bertil Roos School in their series that they run. So that track's always going to be my favorite, I think, no matter where I go from here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, racing at a winning track, right, is always a favorite. I can definitely understand that. And I have to ask this question. So, how'd you hear about Touring Kart Championship?
Yeah, so the original plan for this year for me was to run the full Formula 4 season, which of course, sometimes funding dries up and, things just don't come together for a full season. So ran at New Orleans, their first event. And I was like, all right, well, similar to an actor, what do you do when you're not getting the Warner Brothers films or the big films? You work on the short films. All right, well, I got to go back to karting and race something. So my friend Matt actually reached out to me, and had been reaching out for a while about getting into those kinds of series, which is, I think, a great thing, because when I was on my way up in karting, we didn't have any of this. It was go to a local track and do a league. So, it's been good for me this year, and it's probably going to be good for future generations as well.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, because I heard about TKC Touring Kart Championship for a few years now, and so it's cool how it's like really kind of brought a new idea to racing almost, and kind of adding that extra intensity really that's needed in racing. Excuse me. And so I love that idea, and it provides opportunities to go to different tracks like Trackhouse Motorplex, which, I mean, personally, I didn't have all that great of a result, but that was one of my favorite tracks on their calendar, anyways, and so even karts that are I call them the high performance karts, shifter karts, senior tag, right? They all go there, and so it's added track timing, whatever.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's all good. Christian, did you have anything that maybe questions for Robert? Or
So you said you did some league racing at Horsham, and that's in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, there was a track. It still is a go-kart track, but they just rebranded themselves to one of the K1 locations.
Oh, all right, right on. And then, so I guess just trying to get a clearer picture too. You did when you did all those indoor league kart leagues. Did you then just go right to a racing school and jump in that F2000 car, or did you go and do some of the we I guess refer to them as high performance carts, but I mean, you know, your like 206s, K100 or tag carts that you have out there, shifter carts. Did you jump into any of those kind of series and race it with those?
No, and when I was doing just indoor karting, you know, that was where I wanted to go. I thought you absolutely had to do, you know, SCUSA or, you know, the series you were mentioning and those kinds of karts, high performance. It's a benefit, but I was told in a racing school that, well, two racing schools, the Burl Rouge one, and then actually ran in another school series, the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series, and they were saying that all the stuff that you can learn doing karting, like in karting, you don't have instructors typically unless you hire one. Mm-hmm. But they teach you all those things about, you know, mechanical grip. What if you don't have a wing, you know, and it was a great benefit.
All right. So you just kind of skipped over the I guess kind of like the outdoor karting scene for lack of a better term. But yeah. I mean, if in any kind of early career, it's always about trying to find people that can help you grow and get faster and get up to speed as quick as possible. So I mean, I guess with some of the F4 cars, like how or actually with the school cars, racing school cars, did you do any of their racing series?
Yeah, so for the Brittle Rouge series, I was dipping my toe in and was able to do that summer 2017. I was able to do into the fall really 3 races for them. So it wasn't a full schedule yet. And then come a little later that fall, it was around October. Actually reached out to a Formula 4 team, Group A Racing. They're not in Formula 4 anymore, but they're doing Radical Cup now. But yeah, so that was good, and actually tested a Formula 4 car before going to the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series.
Oh, all right, very cool. So then, and then did you do the Lucas Oil Series at all, or again just kind of like your one day, or I shouldn't say one day, but your schooling there, and then was that when you made the jump into F4?
Yeah, so the idea with it was I would, you know, test the F4 car, and the team manager and coach, Jonathan Scarallo, who's still a great friend and navigator for me in this industry, he definitely helped me out with that, and, you know, decided that, okay, you know, I'm not ready, or I wasn't ready at the time yet to make the jump to Formula 4 and get into pro racing. So he coached me through 2 years of the Lucas Oil Formula Car Series, and, you know, wound up learning a lot and getting a few podiums. And by 2020, I was ready to go with them in F4.
Oh, sweet. All right. Now, I mean, F4 is definitely a step up from those from the racing school cars. I mean, I guess I would kind of equate them to an F1600 car, where you don't got any wings or anything like that on them. But between the Lucas Oil car and the F4 car, did you notice like a sizable difference in terms of having aero on the car? Because I mean, I know the F4 car has wings on them, but I mean they're nothing really fancy, but they are there.
They're absolutely, yeah. There's a difference. I remember it was actually the second F4 test I did, not the second one. That winter before being in the Lucas Oil Series, the wing angle actually slipped. There was a loose screw on the rear wing, so I was going around a high speed corner, and I'm like, man, this thing's getting like really loose all of a sudden. Like, what is going on here? The tire's gone.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, where's the grip? Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, finished the session, came in, sure enough, the wing was gone. So.
Wow.
Yeah, slight understeer, right? Along with that. Oh my gosh. That's tough. What?
Man.
Was this during the race or?
No, that was testing.
Oh, okay. Still. Oh my gosh.
Oh, man, that's wild.
So, and I mean, I'm just trying to think. Like, the opportunities are there in go-karting. Do you maybe see yourself jumping into back into open wheel cars, or maybe something else?
Yeah, that's the goal for next year. Some of the people I'm working with now, we want to line up to hopefully run full-time in the Mazda MX-5 Cup next year.
Oh, that would be wild.
That is one.
Some of the
one
races
heck of a
I've seen.
class.
Oh my gosh.
Is it? Or I mean, I guess to kind of get a little bit more specific, are you talking about the MX-5 series that IMSA sanctions, or more of like your regional SCCA MX-5 stuff?
Correct. Yeah, the IMSA sanction series. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when you go to Watkins Glen, oh my gosh. Hey, have fun drafting, my friend.
I think that goes for just about any track.
Right? They tell the road course.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I have for Robert.
So Robert, I guess is there anything that you would want the people to know about you, or anything like that? You got anything you want to plug or anything like that either?
Yeah, I mean, I guess general information about me. For any potential sponsors, people in position to sponsor listening, I truly believe that I am the most driven person in the United States to do this. You know, I see people, I don't want to say dropping out left and right, but I know that this is my passion and this is my life's goal, and I'll never give up until I get to a pinnacle series, whether it's IMSA, IndyCar, who knows, maybe Formula One one day, but I will never give up. So,
Sir.
Awesome.
Love it. I love it.
That's great to hear.
All right. That was Robert Torres, F4 driver and driver in the Touring Kart Championship. That was cool to talk with him. So anyway, let's dive into NASCAR at Homestead, Miami. Dale Jr. ran the Xfinity race.
I saw.
The day before. I thought that was just really, really cool.
How did he end up doing? I didn't catch the anything on Saturday at all.
It wasn't anything super special other than just, I guess, checking a race off.
Mm-hmm.
He said he was doing like 3 or 5 of these things this year, because I know he raced at Martinsville.
Right.
And somewhere else,
not
Daytona or Talladega. I think, it was Bristol.
Yeah.
Bristol, and you're on it.
Hey, look at that! Look at that! The not
Someone
the
that doesn't
not the
pay
NASCAR
attention
guy pays
in
attention.
NASCAR. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you watch Homestead? Did you watch Homestead?
Mm-mm.
See,
I watched the highlight reel, and I saw Larson go into the all the barriers.
Yeah. He was. Did you see his onboard? He was going in there.
Yeah.
Super hot.
Yeah, he was.
He was trying to get as close to Ryan Blaney as possible.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough to him. I mean, like, I can't.
He's changing his tires anyway, so I might as well just trash him, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I say I can't fault the guy for pushing too hard, but I mean, like, obviously that's where mistakes happen. So unfortunate, but
oh well.
I mean, how was the rest of the race though?
It was pretty good. It was one of those races where I thought it was going to be Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, right? And they both retire within like 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah, I saw the Hamlin going up into the wall. Did you hear anything of what caused it? Because I mean, it looks like the wheel just snapped out of his hands.
You know what he was doing? He was playing grab ass with Ryan Blaney, and they were just going at it. And I forget if they made contact or anything, but I don't know. It just seems weird that happened. Like after they were having their little Russell tussle, what happened was then his car breaks, slams into the wall. I didn't get what happened there. That was just really nuts. And then Martin Truex comes down pit road and has to retire the car.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't it for Joe Gibbs.
Oh no!
Oh no! Ringing the bell. See what it did there?
Uh-huh.
For Joe Gibbs, Christopher Bell. He is now ringing himself into the playoffs, the championship round. Oh man, where is Sean tonight? Oh my gosh, I am on it tonight. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I tell you, I'm sure you watched this race because it was good. It was good. It was good racing all throughout. And I thought Ryan Blaney was going to be the one winning, and for that matter, Kyle Larson. But you saw what happened. But
yeah,
it was getting good. Byron was, he was in the battle. Denny Hamlin, like I mentioned earlier, Truex, but.
Mm-hmm.
It was Christopher Bell. Hey, you know what? He almost got the win last week, and he gets the win this week. Listen, I think there's momentum in these playoffs because he pulled off a clutch win last year at the Charlotte Roval, like just pulling a rabbit out of the hat and wins there. Probably one of the more diverse course skilled drivers, I would say. Because, can you guess where he got his first win? I bet you'll never guess this.
Dover.
Daytona road course.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Dirt driver.
Did you say... Oh, okay. All right. Nope. Never mind.
The Daytona road course.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a round, and I think it was like 2020, 2021, something like that. But he got a win there. So I never would have guessed when he came on a road course.
Yeah.
I was thinking it might have been like Michigan or I guess we're going to call it historic Fontana.
Mm. Yeah.
So, yeah, Kyle Larson. Hey, you know what? Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the standings, right? So, you know how many drivers are locked into the playoffs right now?
2.
Christian? Two. Counted 2. The first 2 drivers to finish at Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm glad Christopher Bell got the win. Because he should have had it at Vegas, and he just did a great job here.
Yeah.
And so, oh gosh, apologies, computer's taking a second. But let me tell you, there's 2 spots left. I'm thinking it's going to be probably Blaney. Let me take a look.
I think it's gonna be Hamlin. Probably that's gonna sneak his way in here.
Martinsville.
Yeah, dude. He's not gonna lose 2. He's not gonna lose 2 years in a row to a wall ride.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, that I still can't believe that happened. Because watching it live was just so weird to watch.
Oh yeah.
It was like that's fast forward, but like because you're at Martinsville, like you're so you're used to what you're watching at Martinsville,
right?
And then that just is
yeah,
just so mind blowing.
What do you think the over under is? Like if you were to keep count during the whole race, like once green flag drops to checkered flag, how many times do you think they're going to reference the wall ride in the commentary booth?
Oh my god, it's going to be a good drinking game.
Yeah, I'm thinking over under would be what, probably
They're gonna bring it up
20?
after every commercial.
20
They're
times?
gonna maybe like 30, 40. No, I'm telling you, it's going to be mentioned so many times. Like, it's not going to be just Rick Allen mentioning it all 20 times. It's going to be Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte, oh my God, Junior is going to probably bring it up like, once or twice and be like, oh yeah, it was, that was wild. And, just kind of, whatever. And then Rick Allen's just like there. And we're back from commercial break. And then like the background is that. Oh man, no one can do it. It's illegal now, so can't do it anymore. So, but taking a look at the standings now, I know we're getting off topic. So, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, two definite drivers that are battling for a championship in Phoenix in 2 weeks' time, are coming out. All right, it's a little less than 2 weeks. So, and William Byron is plus 30 above the cut line, in front of Ryan Blaney, who is plus 10 above the cut line. And the first driver not in the final four below the bubble line, Tyler Reddick, the 2311 Toyota, minus 10. Followed by two more Toyotas, Martin Truex Jr., minus 17. And Denny Hamlin also minus 17 from the cut line. And Chris Buescher, he needs to win. He needs to win to get in. It's minus 43. Or has to, win two stages and finish second.
Right. That was one thing I was kind of impressed with watching those highlights back. Was that pretty much everyone that's still in playoff contention was more or less in the top 10 the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, because the best scenario from a bad day, right? Say you have a dominant car and then you wreck it in stage 3, you still walk away with decent points from like what could have been like a great day. It's not good, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
right? So.
I mean, right now it is definitely not the time to have a bad day. I mean, Larson could afford one just because he was already locked in. I mean, so between Larson and Bell, they can afford a bad race tomorrow or on Sunday. But I mean, for someone like Chris Buescher, like, man, he cannot afford a bad day. I mean, like even the 4th through 7th, Blaney, Reddick, Truex, and Hamlin, like, they're all pretty much right on top of one another. So I mean, it's points are tight, and I'm sure desperation is going to set in at some point during the race.
I think so. I mean, now here's the thing, because William Byron is very far ahead, like 20 points from Blaney, right? And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like it just really depends on what happens in qualifying. And the race is going to shuffle like crazy.
Yep.
It's any of these top 6. Top 6. 6 of the top 8. Oh my gosh. But you catch my drift, because someone's going to get knocked out of the way, have a bad day. There's going to be like 5-10 people that have a terrible day, right? And it could be one of these guys. And so we'll just have to see what happens. For a grandfather clock.
Oh yeah. Arguably one of the best trophies that any driver receives in NASCAR.
Right. I mean, it's that. New Hampshire has the lap stuff. Is that a trophy? I don't know. But I'll tell you, it's the Hurley J. Earl trophy, the Daytona 500. That's a cool looking one too. I like that one a lot. So, so that's NASCAR.
Yeah. All right. On to Formula 1.
Formula what?
Formula 1.
Uno.
Yes. Because this week we go to Mexico, but this past week, we were at Austin, Texas.
Yeah, howdy, y'all. We, I mean, I want to say it. I want to say it. My underdog, Christian. I could hear the eagle. I could hear the fireworks. I could hear the American flag waving in the background. America.
Oh yeah, Logan Sargeant.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yes. Logan Sargeant got his 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't. I know I got 67% of the podium correct. I know I'm jumping ahead, aren't I?
Yeah. I mean, we can kind of fast forward through it. I mean, it was a sprint race weekend. I have made it pretty clear I don't really care for these things.
Who is?
And I don't know. I mean, I guess
it's so pointless.
I'm not for these sprint race weekends because they're not doing anything to shake it up at all. Like, honestly, if you're going to put one of these races in here, invert the field in some capacity. Like, either invert the top 10 or invert the field by championship grid order. You know, that's you gotta have something on the line for teams that either don't ever score points all that often and can have a shot, or guys that are trying to make a difference in the top 10 of points, and or at least in the bottom half of the top 10, and are trying to make points that can help not only themselves in the Drivers' Championship, but even the team in the Manufacturers' Championship or Constructors' Championship. Same difference.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, again, we showed up. Qualifying. Oh no. You know what the storyline of this weekend was track limits, because who couldn't go a week without track limits?
It was starting to become like an Austria race, and then you know it's so. But what are you doing? What are you doing with these track limits? Just
I mean,
and you saw what happened Saturday, right? Right.
Well, where they widened
changed it.
Yeah.
I was that was infuriating.
Yeah, I wasn't really I wasn't all for that. I read somewhere that the drivers complained and wanted it widened. I don't really understand why, because the only thing, like, even during the race, they weren't necessarily pushing that limit every single lap either, because they were all pretty well behaved during the race, and I don't know. I thought the Porsche Carrera Cup race, or sorry, the Porsche Cup race that was there as a sports series for the F1 weekend,
Yep.
I thought was much more entertaining than the F1 race, just because. And I mean, granted, like, all the cars are pretty much more or less on top of one another, but they also, the IMSA is a series running that stuff, and they just threw track limits like out the window and basically said that track limits were the grass or the sand. So, I mean, if you go back on YouTube and find the races, like, you will see them just going like way outside the track, the white line that F1 is so focused on. And honestly, I thought it created better racing, just because none of these guys had to worry about staying, in, quote unquote, inside the track. But I mean, like, it's, I don't know. I've always viewed track limits as it's the outside or inside of the track is where the pavement stops. And if you want to go outside the track, like totally fine, but you now run the risk of damaging your car. And yeah, you definitely can't like blatantly corner cut, because even if, say, all the S's at Coda had grass or gravel on the inside of all of them, and you just like straight shotted the thing, and you somehow picked up a half a second to a second on the field.
But that's time at right, and so that's just increased, awareness for that. Because I was just thinking of like, what if you just cut all these corners,
right,
and you make up time?
Yeah, and I mean, you can, like, it is, I don't know, I mean, like, a well-designed track, you do not need to have this this necessity to police track limits like this, because if you designed it how it should be, then you wouldn't ever have to worry about this. So that's, I guess I don't want to drown too much more on this stuff, because this we can go on for whatever. And I mean, there's plenty of tracks here in the States that aren't these fabulous grade 1 tracks or whatever, that your track limits are pretty well defined, and if you go off, you screw up, you get punished. And that's how it should be, in my opinion.
100%. So the sprint was pointless, and it's pointless. I swear to God. I was like, you're going to give it a backbone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, so we go to qualifying, and well, let's put it this way: Max didn't get pole, but should have. If you ask me, should have. As in, if you're going to widen that area of the track in which his qualifying lap was not a breach, I think you reinstate that qualifying lap.
Yeah, I don't...
For anybody.
Yeah,
it's not just Max Verstappen. This is the entire grid.
I don't enjoy the changing of a track overnight scenario, because unless you need to repair the track or it's for safety reasons, then fine, I get it. But if you're changing it just to add more paint to widen the line, to like change what's in and out of bounds, that makes no sense to me, because there's no other sport that does that.
Right, and it doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you, I don't know, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm just not a huge fan of that decision. But anyway, Charles Leclerc wins the pole, and Max was sent back to 6th on the grid.
Yep, 6th.
So it was race starts, right? Lights out, away we go. And guess who gets to lead a little bit of the race?
Lando Norris.
Lando freaking Norris.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you glad he was leading?
Papaya sure was.
See what I did there? Yeah. So that was pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it being a victory, because I knew someone was going to play through the field. If everything worked the way it did, and it did, Max Verstappen would take the lead early on. But how many laps did Lando lead? Like 20, 30 something laps? A decent amount. I don't know if it was like exactly halfway, but
yeah, it was roughly halfway, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, I guess Max was just kind of like biding his time the whole race, but he also had a brake issue where it just wasn't the same as it was the day before. So I guess he was trying to have to adapt and do things a little bit differently, which caused him to not get the maximum braking performance that he was trying thought that the car should have had. So I guess made for an interesting day on that aspect because Max didn't run away with the race, but you definitely saw how McLaren wasn't great on the hard tires, and couldn't push the tires as long as the Red Bull in terms of pace either. Now, the Mercedes definitely had much better race pace in comparison to the Red Bull, but the I think they still were wearing their tires enough that they feared a significant drop off towards the end of a stint. And I saw one graph of showing lap times across the stint, and the Mercedes had better initial pace on the tires, both the medium and the hard. But as the stint went on, they lost time a lot quicker than the Red Bull. So the Red Bull was a little bit more consistent, but the Mercedes had the initial pace on a fresh set of tires. So, but bottled. I guess Mercedes dropped the bag by not pitting Lewis in sooner enough at the first pit stop, and then Ferrari tried to commit to something that they couldn't do, and once again that they kind of found themselves down and out, and before they could even get to the checkered flag, which was kind of unfortunate because, I mean, the Ferraris definitely had pace, but both Leclerc and Sainz know that the Ferraris are great on one lap pace and not necessarily there in the race, so they really do have to maximize race strategy, because if they don't, then they've lost the race pretty quickly.
Right, and so look, Carlos lost out on the podium, and Charles Leclerc. I mean, same thing. Him and Max literally reversed positions in the race. It's tough, and I think Charles could have really walked away with the podium in this race. I really thought he could have maybe have done something, because Carlos can make podium even in situations like this, right? And so I just don't understand how that just. Ferrari knows what they're doing. They have to. Right? Like this is so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of a design issue with the car. So it's not something that I think that either driver can overcome overnight, but it's definitely going to take some work to try and get back that race pace. So hopefully it's something they can look into the off season, because I mean I thought that's what they were supposed to take care of this year, but I guess didn't quite work out as they hoped. So yeah.
Okay. Yep. So now look who wins, right? Another Max Verstappen win, and Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton had a great pass on Lando Norris in the closing stages of the race. He would grab second, and Lando Norris came home with another podium. Which, I mean, I think this is his fifth podium in a row. He's having one hell of a year, and they're continuing their momentum. And I think they're going to do okay come Mexico. I think both cars are going to do surprisingly well there. maybe a double podium. We'll see. Um, would love to see Oscar Piastri get on the podium again. Just, it's anytime there's this great success, I always think of like Alpine and where they are, because I'm just thinking, okay, yes, Fernando Alonso retired from the race with Aston Martin, but I wouldn't guess that Alpine would retire. I know I'm going off on a little rant here, but I'm just I could really see McLaren doing well at Mexico if they're having this repeated success.
Yeah,
they have to. They have to be feeling pretty good.
yeah. I mean, well, and McLaren has jumped Aston Martin in the standings, which not shocked, but yeah, it's
because one of the cars are working.
Right, yeah.
Lance Stroll's, right? Yeah, got points. And oh, wait a minute.
His words. No, I mean, actually, fair point. I will say, Lance wasn't totally. He wasn't completely outdone by Alonso this weekend. He did kind of hold his own, which is good to see. I guess. It's kind of hard to say that one race could save the season, but yeah, I mean it is just kind of, you have to look at more of a season performance, and having both cars both cars start in the pit lane in Austin, so they already had work to. They were already starting on the back foot, so it was going to be hard to do that. I mean, yeah, I don't know where Aston Martin is going to try and make up points at all on McLaren. I think it's really going to take an out of... it's going to take an off day for McLaren for Aston Martin to get back in the game, but Mexico definitely could be it, but it also might not be it, because Aston isn't necessarily... They haven't really been strong on the high speed tracks. So, yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, and I'm curious to see how McLaren will handle this high altitude track as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this race has always been wild too. And I mean, I'm okay. Look, you know who's going to win, and you know who's not going to be on the podium.
Sergio's going to win.
Oh, come on.
Hey, man.
Oh, so okay, let's go. Let's do our picks. So
Picks, all right.
This is just right. So I'll tell you. Okay, Max, he's gonna win. You know who's gonna get second though? Lando.
Okay.
Lando Norris is gonna come in second, and our second runner-up. No, but third place is gonna be Carlos Sainz, and actually get the podium this time, because he got a podium, but he wasn't on the stage.
Right, because Lewis and Leclerc were found to be infraction of their plank thickness. So they wore down the underside of their car too much.
So that means Logan Sargeant has one more point than Nikita Mazepin.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yeah, and they have it. But what about in comparison to Nicholas Latifi? Nicholas Latifi's the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here. Anyway, so my dark horse, it's never going to be Logan Sargeant again, just because I thought this would be the best track for him to do it at, and sure enough, he did. But in Mexico, I think it's going to be... I want to say this driver, but... we'll call it Yuki Tsunoda. Like this, I think he'll figure this track out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I haven't picked him in a while, and I think he's overdue because he grabbed some points here at Coda. So I think he's and he's certainly showing Daniel Ricciardo, hey, you got to be up here for pace. So we'll see.
Yeah. Off characteristics weekend for Ricciardo. I mean, he admitted that he was trying to knock some rust off, but I don't know, man. He's definitely got to get on it quick. So.
If Logan Sargeant scored a more point than him.
I know. Yeah.
Fernando, wow, what a topsy-turvy day in F1.
Right.
Anyway.
Nate, did you give me your dark horse pick as well?
Yes.
For Mexico? Who was it?
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda.
Yuki. Sorry. Brain
I know, he's a sleeper. He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper.
Clearly. I was that.
So,
all right. I guess my top 3 predictions, Max is going to win. I got Lewis finishing second after that strong performance with the Mercedes at Austin, and I think Checo is going to be on the podium to round out third there. My dark horse, man, I got no idea who's my dark horse.
Sergio Perez.
Yeah. No, I put Perez on the podium.
I know.
He's gonna finish third and my dark horse at the same time.
Well, it's an improvement as of late, so.
Man, you know what? Let's see if Ocon can battle back.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see. There was an interesting stat that I heard is that Ocon has the most DNFs out of the season, or he's the driver to have the most DNFs. I can't remember what the exact number was, but I thought it was something kind of high, like 6 or 7. Which
now is that Alpine reliability?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Because I mean, Alpine has definitely struggled and had their fair share of issues.
All right. So I think that does it. Do you have anything else? Oh, what else?
I have Sean's, my dad's picks. Max is going to win for him. He's also had Lewis in second. He's got Leclerc for third, and his dark horse is Piastri. These are actual picks, not sadly, these are not picks that Nate and I have made for him.
Yeah, he's had nightmares of us saying that. That's why he had to write these down. So, you're welcome, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, best of luck. So,
I guess some other kind of news that I've got is that Pietro Fittipaldi signed with Rahal Letterman-Lanigan for IndyCar.
That's right, in the 30 car.
Yep.
So Jack Harvey.
It's out.
He's already got a replacement. So
yeah.
There we go.
I couldn't remember if I saw someone else was confirmed for a ride in IndyCar.
You know who needs a ride? Catherine Legg.
Yeah.
Full time.
I thought I saw rumors about I think it was Andretti running a 4th car, but having Beretta Autosport be the team running that car.
Oh wow!
So that might be something there.
That'd be pretty good.
Let's see. Other news in IMSA, the LMP3 cars have just been announced that they are running their own series in conjunction with the historic sports car racing series. So it's going to be called the HSR Prototype Challenge series. So kind of resemblance of what the Prototype Challenge Series used to be a number of years ago, where there is going to be the current generation of LMP3 cars for one class, and then some older generation LMP3 cars are going to be allowed to run in the second class that they have as well. And they've announced a 6-race calendar where it's not exactly aligned with IMSA WeatherTech race weekends, where it's going to be more aligned with the historic sports car racing series. But these races are ranging from 90 minutes to 3 hours long. So still some great seat time and for the guys that want to run these cars. And I mean, I know everyone makes jokes about these guys spinning and whatnot, but I mean, they are some really good race cars to watch races in. Like, they do put on a good show once in a while.
For sure.
And then there was another thing about yes, here it is. So Phil Hansen, who he has just announced that he is driving for JDC Miller Motorsports, and running their GTP car for next year, which will be great. Because Phil, I'm so lost. He's been doing a bunch of prototype stuff over the previous couple of years, so it's great to see him with these guys for next year. So that's a great addition for that team. And then I guess the only other thing of note that I have is, outside of the NASCAR race at Martinsville and the F1 race at Mexico, we got V8 supercars are going to be racing at Gold Coast, and the Super Formula Championship is going to be wrapping up at Suzuka this weekend as well. So I mean, there's definitely plenty of stuff to watch this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And I got to mention it, Martinsville.
Yeah, Martin. So. Yeah, I mean, seasons are winding down, so I mean, everyone's there's something on the line with every series going on here.
Yes. So, anyway,
and Nate, we got one more announcement.
Oh yes, and what's that?
I think there's an endurance race that you and I are taking part in this weekend.
Oh, that's right. There is a 4-hour endurance go-karting race. Not endurance karting, but endurance race with karts in it.
Mm-hmm.
3 different classes. We're going to be in rental class, but it's going to be pretty exciting. We have it's going to be us 2, so we're going to be partnered with Nick Frangulis, who's a good friend on the podcast, along with Jake Innes.
Mm-hmm.
So us 4, we're going to put it together, and we'll see how we do. So I think it's going to be really exciting. And I've been at Englishtown, but not the parking lot circuit, which Nick has some laps on.
Yes.
And I have time on the kart itself from a prior Touring Kart Championship round. So we'll see how we do there. It's at Englishtown, so we'll see what we can muster there, and hope it's a good result. It's definitely going to be a fun time. It's it's for some of us. It's we haven't been in a kart in a while, and that definitely going to scratch that itch.
Yeah, sure will. But yeah, we'll have something to report of our own next time out.
Yeah. So.
And with that,
good night.
Thank you guys for listening to the Red Mist Podcast, hosted by Christian Abbott, Sean Abbott, and Nathan Lavin. It's produced by Christian Abbott, and music is by Alex Wart and Harrison Tate.